What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm recording this Saturday night. We're going to do the end of week update, sealed product singles and slabs over $1,000. Starting off, you're seeing this correctly on your screen. This is a Romance Dawn white bottom booster box, $1,350 USD. I feel like it was just a week ago. We were talking about these being like $800, $850. It's funny too, because I got a shout out this week on the One Piece Finance TCG, whatever the subreddit's called. And there was someone in there who said I was just way too bullish on things. But I don't know, guys. Like, I can only make a video showing you what's in front of me, right? So when the sales are $1,000, then $1,100, now we're at $1,350 on a blue bottom or a white bottom, excuse me. The only real conclusion you can come to is that these boxes are going up in price, and I think they're going to continue moving up in price. You know, whether that's slowly or quite quickly, I don't know, but One Piece, it does seem to be gaining popularity in other avenues of the TCG world. So there you go. And guys, buckle up, by the way. We have, I believe, like 50 individual cards to look at in this video and a couple more sealed products. So it's going to be a little bit of a long one, but very interesting. We have a case here of OP13 booster boxes. These are already reselling on the secondary market for a lot of money, $2,800 or best offer. It came out to $2,300. That's what was accepted. I think that's like what, 190 per booster box, something like that USD. Crazy. We also have a case here of EBO2, $3,000 USD, guys. That's $250 USD per booster box of EBO2. So even the anime 25th collection is starting to move up in price. We also had a blue bottom booster box sell, $3,000. I think there was probably 4 or 5 of these that sold this week for 3.1. I think maybe one at like 2.9 or 2.85, but the majority of sales now are back over $3,000. If you look on TCG Player, there were 4 sales today, I believe, all at like 3.1K USD. So crazy the growth on some of these boxes. We also had a case of OPO9 sell $3,100. This isn't the sold listing because the seller had 5 cases available. They're now down to 4, but 3,100 for a case. That's what, like 255, something like that, maybe even a little bit higher per booster box inside. Now, moving into some of the cards, we do have one card on the list this week below $1,000. You can see here the Boa Hancock SP from OPO9, BGS10, non-black label, $1,000 or best offer. I threw it into 130 point. It sold for $900. So still very expensive there. I think the high we saw on this, though, was maybe $985. So you will see this week, a lot of the manga cards aren't at all-time highs. Some of them are pushing all-time highs, but the majority, I'd say, are maybe like 10% off where they once were. But this one in particular, the Kid manga, this is from OPO5, $1,075 in a PSA 10. That's fairly close to record sales. And this is also still like one of the cheaper mangas out there. I don't even think it's in the top 20 anymore, especially considering OP13 came out, which, spoiler, there will be all of the red mangas on the list this week as we get later on the video. A Sabo manga from OPO4, $1,136. That might also be an all-time high. I remember seeing $1,100 sales in PSA 10, so this being a little bit higher than that might actually be the record. We also have this interesting card here. This is a Luffy. This is a regional winners card. Volume 2 or version 2, I don't know what V2 stands for exactly. PSA 10, $1,500 or best offer. In 130 point, it says $1,150 USD. So pretty cool Luffy promo there. Another Luffy promo, this is the BGS 10. This is the One Piece Day Dallas, I believe, 2024. This is the foil card, $1,186 there. I don't think that that is an all-time high, but still a very expensive sale nonetheless. We have the Shanks. This is from OP13, the Gold SP, BGS 9.5. So there's a few of these already out there making their way to market. And this went for 1,800 Canadian, which is approximately $1,283 USD. It's interesting too. It really seems like the BGS 9.5, the PSA 10, and also like the raw price are fairly similar. When we look at BGS 10s, the non-black labels, there tends to be a premium on those now. And then obviously the black labels, there's a much larger premium compared to some of these. But the BGS 9.5 and PSA 10, at least in One Piece right now, seem to be pretty interchangeable when we're looking at a lot of these cards. Now, the Jewelry Bonnie manga here, PSA 10, $1,300 USD approximately. I think last week when we looked at this, There's a sale at $1,150 or $1,200, so a little bit higher than last week. We also have the Gear 4 Luffy from OP11, $1,300, fairly consistent there. We have the Super Pre-Release Luffy, this is a PSA 10, $1,350 USD. You can also check out the PSA 10 pop here, 571. Total pop is 683, so not the highest PSA 10 pop in One Piece. Then we have a pre-errata Nami here. You can see if we zoom in on the card, it does say reveal 1, not up to 1. I believe that's the difference between the text. 2,500 or best offer. There was a fairly large offer taken on this, $1,435. That's in line with what we've been seeing, even going back into October, 1425. There was a recent sale there on October 26th. We have a Hawkeye Mihawk here. This is the Treasure Cup top prize PSA 10 card, $1,445. PSA 10 pop 22. Total pop is 24. Then we have the VV. This is the Championship 2024 top prize card. This doesn't show up too often. PSA 10, $1,500. Very beautiful card. It's nice to see these. I think the Rebecca as well is going to show up later in the video. We also have the Dodgers promo, tons of these selling on a weekly basis still, $1,580 in a 10. It does seem like these have pulled back a little bit. I think at one point they're probably selling 2,000, 2,200 after the World Series ended. And before we go any further, I did want to just jump in here and say if you guys are enjoying the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think of the videos. It really does help out a ton getting them pushed out to more people. Also, we don't have channel sponsors, so I'll plug my own stuff. In the descriptions, as always, there's a link to my market spreadsheet. You can check that out. And then also, if you're looking to take your TCG investing to another level, I do have consult calls. I can help you guys decide on which products you want to pick. If you're opening an eBay store, you need help setting any of that up, I can hold your hand through the entire process. That's all I'm going to do, showing my stuff. Again, that's completely voluntary and for select people. If you guys just want to watch the videos, I absolutely appreciate you being here. That's more than enough for me. Now moving on, we do have the Blackbeard manga from OP09 PSA 10, $1,650. We're going to have another card here at $1,650. It's the Boa Hancock BGS 10. You can see a best offer was taken here. And at one point in early November, this card was up to almost $2,500. We had another sale. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this. Maybe I can scroll down a little bit. 2,100 back in October. That was kind of when I think EBO3 hype was probably at its peak. Maybe some of that has fallen off a little bit. And as such, the manga card from OP07 has fallen as well. Side note, if you guys haven't seen the SPs from EBO3 in Japanese, it does seem like the Boa Hancock is probably going to be the most expensive, a little bit more than what the Nami is going for. And speaking of Nami, we have the manga here from PRBO1. This is the BGS 10 copy, 1,620 euros, which is approximately $1,882 USD. I was actually on a consult earlier this week, and the person I was talking to said that this Nami card looks funny. Like the nose is a little bit off. And honestly, this might be a hot take, but I agree with that. It's definitely not the best Nami artwork that Bandai has put out. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm going to get roasted in the comments for that, but I just thought it was funny. Someone agreed with me on that point. Now afterwards, another Luffy promo here. This is from the Championship 2023 event pack. BGS 10 here, non-black label, $1,925. There were multiple of these selling this week. I think as high as like 21, 25. So this is definitely one of the lower sales that I saw on this card. Part of that might have to do with it just being not the best listing, in my opinion. Lighting's off. They didn't use scans, so it's not like it's the worst photos in the world. But again, like I would probably just crop, make it look a little bit better, throw some light in there. Don't use a table that's so like messed up as well. I know these are things that a lot of you guys probably don't care about, but again, if you're getting into TCGs, you do need to have a plan to exit and to offload stuff in the future. That's how you take profits. So knowing how to sell things, in my opinion, is important, and sweating those small details will make your store better and allow you to get full dollar for everything you put up. Now after that, we have a Gear 5 Luffy pose here. This is the Luffy from, I believe, the second anniversary set in English, and this went through Slab Sharks, $2,769 Canadian, and that's approximately $1,975 USD. This is in a BGS 10 black label, so a much rarer card than the regular BGS 10 or PSA 10 copies. After that, We have the Gold Blackbeard SP from OP12. This went for $2,000 USD, so another big sale there. We also had a Buggy manga sell. I had someone leave a comment that the Buggy was going crazy. I think they maybe put listings up or they saw listings of the Buggy selling for 2,600. We did see that a couple weeks ago. You can see this one here, $2,250 USD or best offer. If you go look, 130 point, $2,000 sales. So it is coming down a little bit. And I'll scroll down a little bit if you guys can't see that. You can see here, November 6th, 2,600, November 4th, 2,500. So the Buggy is coming down in price, but I think it's probably going to stay in that 2K range. Maybe it drops a little bit more to like 18, 1900. I know after that we have the Law from OP05. Again, it kind of surprises me how expensive this card is. I think last week it was up to maybe like $2,500. This week we had a PSA 10 sell for $2,300. This is the original, by the way. It's not the PRB01 reprint. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be excited to see this listing. We have the Demon God pack from OP13, $2,500 or best offer. This listing in particular sold for 2,300 USD, but there were multiple of these still selling, whether on auction or buy it now. It does seem like they're going to stay in this 2K range. Maybe long term they drop down to like $1,500. Maybe they'll go up. Who knows? But they will be around this price if you're considering buying them in the short term. Then we have the Shanks manga. This is from Romance Dawn, the original PSA 10, $2,400 USD. PSA 10 pop 1,113, total pop 1,245. That's a fairly low manga PSA 10 pop, in my opinion, especially for a set like Romance Dawn, which was the original. If you look at some of the newer sets, we already see like 2,000, 3,000 pop PSA 10 copies, and just in general, like the PSA pop is super high. So I think we might have some people looking at this card in the future as a potential investment play. Now after that, we have the Sanji manga. This is a PSA 10. There looks like there's only 55 of these in a 10 so far, 62 total. Obviously, that will come up as time goes on, but this is one of the first to market. 3,450 Canadian, that's 2,460 USD. You will also see the BGS 10 copy show up here in a little bit. And following the Sanji, we have the OP09 manga Luffy, $2,610. This is fairly standard. It's been in this range for a while. Then we have the Chopper from EB01, not the reprint from PRB01, 3,000 or best offer. In 130 point, it went for $2,695, which is actually a little bit lower than recent sales. I think back like November 10th or 11th, you might be able to see it on the screen, $2,800. So a couple $100 off. I think I did see another PSA 10 sell though, like 27 or 2,800. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's dropping. Same thing with the Zoro here, $2,900 in a PSA 10 or best offer. This one sold for 2,750, but again, multiple sales over the past week ranging from this 2,750 all the way up to like 2,975. Then we have the Shanks manga from OP09, surprisingly more expensive than the '01 Shanks now. 2,800 or best offer. I do believe it sold for $2,800, $2,799 if we want to be exact. And we're going to start getting into some of the more expensive cards here. We have the Red Manga Sabo in English from OP13, 3,500 or best offer. It sold for $2,800. This is definitely going to be the cheapest of the three. The Ace and the Luffy will be more than that, but still very expensive for a Sabo. We also have the Japanese Luffy alternate art stamped card from OP05, $2,900. There's also another one in stock. The reason I brought this up is just because if some people are looking through recent sales, there was a PSA 10 copy through PSA directly from the vault that sold for $8,200, and it was the Japanese version. So I want people to know that sale seemed like an insane outlier, unless I was missing something about that sale, which I'm pretty sure I wasn't, but again, I could be wrong. Either way, this is kind of like a $2,800 to $3,000 card in Japanese. It's nowhere near $8,000 in that language. The English version, that's obviously a different story, and you will see that come up shortly here in the video. And then we have the Rebecca. This is the Championship 2024 top prize card. I did allude to this showing up in the video as well. 4,000 or best offer. It sold for $3K. I couldn't find recent comps on this, so I don't know if this is up or down, but not a huge pop here. I know the title says pop 20. It looks like it's pop 21 now. Crazy high gem rate though, 20 PSA 10s out of 21 total pop, so very, very easy to grade. I'm actually really curious to see where some of these championship cards go in the future, just because if someone came into the hobby with a few $1 million, they could corner the market on these very easily and really manipulate the price. So I'm curious to see if someone does decide to do that in the future. They are also beautiful cards. I'm not saying they are worthless and only rely on their scarcity. Obviously, Rebecca isn't the most popular character. Same thing with Vivi. They're both really cool in their own right, and people do like them, but they're definitely not on the level of someone like a Luffy or a Zoro or a Nami. That's just my opinion. But still, very cool cards, fairly rare, and beautiful artworks as well. And then after that, we have the Japanese Shonen Jump magazine promo card here. This, I think like a month ago, we saw a sale at $11,000 or $12,000 in a BGS 10 Black Label. People told me that wasn't paid for. I believe it. There were multiple this week selling either through PSA or Slab Shark around this 3,200 USD range. I think I saw one as low as maybe like 2,800 in a BGS 10 Black Label. And honestly, even at that price, I wouldn't feel great buying this card. I don't know. I just feel like anything coming out of a magazine that just gets an insanely large reprint within like a month or two of release is just not something I'm personally interested in putting my dollars in. But if you guys disagree, obviously feel free to go nuts, buy up all of them if you want. And after that, we have a serialized Ace. This is the English version. This is number 350 out of 1,000 and went for $3,450 USD. You can see here PSA 10 pop 69, total pop 83. Then we have the Sanji. This is the manga in English BGS 10 Black Label. You can see here the difference in price. This went for $3,500 or best offer on 130 point. It looks like it did sell for $3,500. And this is another example. This is going to be a tangent just about selling on eBay, guys. And it really is a pet peeve of mine, but when I see a title this short, it frustrates me so much. You get 80 characters, I believe, on eBay. You got to use all the characters. Put all the keywords in there. Just make sure that your card is going to show up in search. And then also, the photos of this are just terrible. I don't know if this is like cocaine in the background or whatever. Obviously, it's probably not, but it just gives off the illusion of not being like a very clean place and stuff like that. And if you're buying a $3,500 card, you want to assume that it's coming from a smoke-free home. It's going to be clean. You know, there's not going to be dirty hands that touched it and everything. So I just think like the presentation of a card like this, and I know it's a very new seller, one feedback, whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone took way better photos than this listing. They used all 80 characters in the title and they threw it up non-best offer for like 4K or something, just let it sit. Probably would have sold at that price, right? So I think that people are just leaving money on the table by being sloppy. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Ending rant, getting back to the cards. We have the 3rd anniversary English Luffy. This is from OP11, the silver version, not the gold. The gold will show up later in the video though. $3,500 here, PSA 10 pop. 329 seems actually kind of low to me, honestly, at this point. I kind of would have expected these to be a bit higher at this point, but hey, still a fairly rare card. Then we have the EBO 2 Gear 2 manga Luffy, 4,000 or best offer in a PSA 10. This went for $3,500, and I think that this card is stabilizing around this 3,500, 3,600 range. You can see here, back on November 9th, there was a sale at $3,650. I will show you guys a BGS 10 sale right here in a minute though. I think went for like $4,000 USD if I remember correctly. But before that, we do have the Ace Red manga. You can see here $3,550 raw. This is coming from a small seller as well. Then we have the Nami here. This is the 2025 New Year event winner prize card. And this went for $3,850 in a BGS 10 through ZNG Emporium. Then we have the Luffy Super Pre-Release Winner Card, PSA 10, $3,925, guys. This card is getting very expensive. PSA 10 pop, $489 total pop, $553. Then we have the Alt Leader Luffy from Romance Dawn. This is another surprising sale here. 4,000 or best offer. I threw it into 130 point. It's sold for 4K. And again, it's just horrific photos. It's a terrible listing. I mean, at least they have a longer title here. But the first photo, it's just the phone shadow for the most part. Again, you also don't need to put like, you know, the writing here. You're not selling a Facebook group, right? Like just put up the photos. If you're not going to use a scanner to get decent photographs, at least do something in proper lighting. So I think that this is going to be a one-off sale. The next time we see the pre-errata alt art leader show up, it's probably going to go closer to 5-6K. That would just be my guess. Could be wrong about that. This was the BGS10 here of the EBO2 Luffy, and actually went more than 4K, $4,450 through Z&G Emporium. So you can see the BGS10s do have a premium at this point over the PSA 10s. Then we have the serialized Luffy here out of 1,000. This is number, I believe that says 355, 365, excuse me, and that went $5,105 through Z&G Emporium. Gold Luffy here from OP11 PSA 10, 6,500 or best offer. It went for 5.5K, so still very expensive. I really thought that this card was going to drop in price. Maybe it still will, but the PSA 10 pop is still fairly low, 393. Total pop 444. This is one of the cards that I'm actually keeping a very close eye on. And then also another card I'm keeping a close eye on, we have the red Luffy from OP13 in English, 6,500 or best offer. It did go for 5.5K as well. So not the most expensive sale we've seen on this, but still over 5K raw. It is the most expensive card you can pull from a booster box now. And after that, we have another listing. Kobe sent me this again in the Discord. This is the full 1999 One Piece. I believe this is the complete set of Hyper Battle, and this went for 6,000 Canadian or best offer in 130 point. It looks like it sold for 5,500 USD. The problem with this though is that I think the currency is off again because the original listing was in Canadian and that would have been like 4.3K USD. So I'm assuming it was 5,500 Canadian, which is probably like, I don't know, 3,600 USD, 3,700 in that range, something like that. Either way, very cool. You don't see these sets show up too often. I believe the seller too in the description said that most of these cards were in near mint condition, which would be impressive considering how old some of those cards are. And then getting into the last few here, we have PSA 10 Luffy Alternate Art Oda stamped card from OP05 English, 7,800 Canadian. That's a mouthful, by the way. Holy cow. $5,562 USD there through Slab Sharks up here in Canada. Then we have the Black Label Zoro from Wings of the Captain. This I'm kind of confused on as well. The title that Z&G Emporium's using, it says PRBO1 manga. I think that it's the original though, because I'm pretty sure Beckett labels if it's from PRBO1. Could be wrong about that. Either way, $7,100 in a BGS 10 Black Label. Maybe it is the reprinted version. That seems kind of low for a Black Label of the original. I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments down below. You guys always tend to know more than I do, so I do appreciate being educated as well. Then we have another one of the Luffy's, the Oda stamped card. That's the short form version I'm going to go for from now on. BGS 10 here, non-Black Label, 6,250 euros. That's approximately 7,263 USD. And a few more here. We do have the Gear 5 Luffy, $7,700. That sold today. I think there's another copy that sold at like $7,750. So multiple copies selling this week. We also have the Gold Roger PSA 10, $10,500 USD. And then we have a complete set here of the PRB 01 mangas. These are all raw, so non-graded yet. 12,500 or best offer. It did go for $10,000 USD. Also just realized that these are out of order, these past two here, and that's just gonna drive me crazy, but I can't go back at this point. Video's 30 minutes long. We have Black Label Roger here in Japanese, $12,100 USD. I'm really looking forward to the day we see another English version of the Roger show up in a Black Label. And then to end the video, we have a sequential set here of the PRB 01 mangas in PSA 10. So all of them, very cool set. 19,600 Canadian, that's approximately $13,977 USD. So there you guys go. Long one, but lots of interesting sales this week. Some all-time highs, some cards pulling back. It's kind of all over the place. Sealed product, like the Romance Dawn stuff, continuing to move up. None of this is really surprising to me. I don't think it should be to you guys either. Also, if you do know who Chasing Cardboard is on YouTube, he puts out sports card videos for the most part, but their most recent upload was about someone selling their collection and they were moving it to One Piece. That video got like over 100K views. It's one of their most viewed videos, at least over the past couple months. So a lot of new eyeballs on One Piece. And I don't really have any data because again, I don't count the amount of sales every single week that happen for the mangas in One Piece. But it just seems like when I was going through all the listings this week that there were more than there usually is. Like it tends to take me I'd say about 30 minutes to get through like a whole week worth of listings. Tonight, it took me probably about an hour to prepare for the video. And who knows, maybe that was just me being very slow this weekend, but it could be that there's just more eyeballs on one piece right now and there were more sales coming through. So we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Again, if you enjoyed the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It does genuinely help out a ton. Also, if you are shopping, eBay, TCG Player, Hobbiesville, Cardboard Hero, I do have affiliate links down below in the description. They're free and easy to use. All you have to do is click on the link before you do your shopping. I'll get a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you. So it's a free and easy way to support me continuing to make these videos. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.